You're saying Google Earth was funded by the CIA,
Yep.
that it doesn't prove the Earth is actually a globe.
Buddy, it was created to control the way we view the world. The whole thing was funded through the CIA's private venture capital company called In-Q-Tel back at the turn of the century. The company who actually started Google Earth was called Keyhole, led by a former video game creator named John Hankey. Sickest part of it is there are no satellites that take images of Earth from space. When they made the program, they took thousands of aerial images captured by satellites inside of our atmosphere and stitched them onto a three-dimensional spherical render, right? Once you zoom out far enough, you're literally just looking at a digital sculpture of the Earth from whatever perspective they chose to design it.
Well, I mean, yeah, NASA knows it's a globe, and I'm sure they gave them as much data they could to go off of while they designed it. I mean, we're trusting them, I guess.
Yeah, blindly trusting the entire worldview based on the word of a centralized group of entities, right? I believe they know about the outer lands, okay? They know about the ice wall, and this was a way of making sure we never do. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a joke for entertainment, right? For my safety buddy.
Hey yo, what's up my brothers and sisters? You know what's so funny about the whole globe Earth versus flat Earth? Is that one requires you to believe and the other one does not. Because you have to believe that we're spinning at 1,000+ miles per hour. Also rotating around the sun or being pulled by the sun in a spiral motion at 66,600 miles per hour. If I'm mistaken, all right? Crazy ass numbers, all right? And we don't detect none of this. But you can know that the Earth is stationary as we experience it without having to believe that. Which one do you choose?
Was Hamburg in Germany bombed to cover up traces of a Tartarian old world city? The damage inflicted upon it was so vast that the raids were referred to as Operation Gomorrah, a reference to the biblical city which was completely annihilated. Like all of Germany, Hamburg was particularly advanced for its time, with almost every piece of architecture resembling a work of art, showing how different city landscapes were back then. And is this why they were targeted to be leveled as part of a rigged conflict, where up to 40,000 people in Hamburg died alone? And quite frankly, there's nothing justifiable or tactical about genociding civilians. There were no good guys in this conflict, only ulterior motives, orchestrated by those at the highest levels who puppeteered both sides.
So one question you have given me a lot is, how do these massive airships load from the front on these mooring stations? We'll just take a look at some of these pictures here of the people walking in on those lowered ramps. And all these diagrams and images are available for free on my Telegram page, by the way. But most people just think of an airship's cabin as that. But if you look here, the inside is mostly hollow and quite a lot of space. So much so they even have elevators in some of them. And of course, no cruise would be complete without a top floor promenade, able to catch in all those awesome sights. Airships like the Hindenburg, for example, was able to carry over 1,000 passengers, with accommodations for all walks of life and all classes. And sure, though it doesn't beat the speed of a jet, it definitely beats the speed of boats, and get across the Atlantic in just about 2 days. And you can do it in style, without being crammed in a little tin can, having to wait for hours and hours at an airport. Whether it's long trips or short trips, rich or poor, there was space for all. Even had several kitchens on board, so you can catch a nice meal and a beautiful view. And I always have to show off this awesome map of the Hindenburg. Spot the underwater landmasses there. Perhaps an actual truthful map of a post-reset time. Now, if you really want cool, let me know if you want to see the interiors of some of these military airships. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Good afternoon. Aloha from Florida. So let's do another 60-second globe debunk. And let's use this right here. This is the north, like the bullseye on a dartboard. Almost directly over that in the sky is Polaris, the North Star, and all of our luminaries move in perfect repeating cycles around that for all of recorded history. There is no globe, and here's how you can tell. On this map, in the south, you can view more constellations because it's a much larger area than closer to the center in the north. This is the north, this is the south. You can view more constellations in the south. There's more time zones in the south. The path of the analemma is larger in the south. If you don't know what the analemma is, please look that up. That's the path of the sun, not the rotating and revolving of the earth. Also on this map, all of the flight paths and the undersea cables make perfect sense on this. This is the best representation of reality that we have. There is no globe. The earth is flat and stationary. Have a great day.
So people ask me this question all the time. Why isn't Polaris, or the North Star, visible from Australia in the southern hemisphere? Now, I'm going to explain it right now. First of all, you have to understand that the North Star, or Polaris, is fixed and stationary in the night sky. It hangs over the magnetic center of the flat Earth, right at the North Pole. Now, you have to understand, wherever you are positioned as the observer, you're going to see the North Star at different heights. So the North Pole is right here. Everything else is south of the North Pole. Any direction you go is going to be south. If you're standing right over the North Pole, it's going to be at its highest point. If you're further away, it's going to be a little bit lower. If you're right here, it's going to be right above you, right? This is how perspective works. Now, if you are further away, like in Australia and these southern continents closest to Antarctica, the North Star is going to appear lower and lower and lower based on your individual perspective wherever you are. This is how perspective works. This is the law of perspective. It's the same if you're standing right here and you're viewing these light poles that are all the exact same height. The further away the light poles get, the lower the light is going to be until it vanishes away from your perspective. This is how depth perception works. Just like if you were looking at a train track, the same goes for star systems that are in the southern hemisphere. If you're in the north, you cannot see them because of your perspective. This is exactly how it works, guys. So the more north you get, the closer you're going to get to Polaris. And it's going to be right above your head if you're at the North Pole. The further you get away, it's going to be angled down more and more and more. It's just common sense at this point, right? That's why it's called the North Star, because it always leads you to the north direction. You have to think, how is it possible that Polaris, the North Star, doesn't move if we're spinning and orbiting the sun at 66.6 thousand miles per hour, funny number that is, and also hurtling through space at millions of miles per hour? The stars would do all sorts of crazy patterns. It would be absolutely impossible for Polaris to not move. This is exactly why Polaris is not visible from Australia and why star systems in the southern hemisphere, which is just closest to, the ice wall, are not visible in the North Pole. It is all perspective. Study perspective. This is quite literally science, guys. You believe in pseudoscience. We believe in real science. You need to look within for the real answers. Peace and love. So when exactly do these planes that are flying at absolutely incredible speeds dip their nose down to stay with the curvature of the Earth? Oh wait, they never do. Ever. Oh, but it's gravity. Gravity's holding it down, yeah. Y'all are brainwashed, completely indoctrinated your whole entire life. It's flat. It's stationary. Just the way it looks and feels. Peace.
I used to run the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. When we were deleted by Facebook, we had allegedly 155,000 members. We did not allow cursing or insults at all. We had 100 moderators from all over the Flat Earth, and the group still got deleted. Shortly after, my Instagram was deleted. Shortly after that, my YouTube was deleted. I've been kicked off Skype, Venmo, my Yahoo account was erased. Now you gotta ask yourself, if Flat Earth is so stupid, why are they censoring it? Why does YouTube go in front of Congress and say we're censoring topics like Flat Earth? So truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. And you can lead a globe earther to flat water, but you cannot make them think critically about the shape of the Earth. Fluid static state, when a large body of water is at rest, the surface is level and horizontal to its container, and the sky is a map and a clock. I'm surprised they would try and use celestial navigation to prove we're on a spinning ball in space with all the heavenly objects gravitating toward one another from an explosion of nothing. I mean, that's your religion, guys. And you're over here saying, the sky's a perfect map and a clock, and we use it to navigate the oceans. You use triangulation, which uses a triangle, which has straight, flat sides. And you're trying to tell us the Earth's a globe with triangulation using straight lines? Are you guys joking? Okay? You can't demonstrate water adhering to the outside of a spinning ball. You can't demonstrate a gravitational orbit at all using the scientific method. You can't demonstrate gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. You guys really have nothing, to be honest. And the problem with celestial navigation on a ball in space orbiting the sun is that every 6 months, we're on the other side of the sun. We should see a completely different night sky, but year round, we see things like the Big Dipper, Orion's Belt, the Little Dipper, and contrary to the globe Earth claims, those are all fixed constellations. I mean, you guys think celestial navigation proved you're on a globe. When they came up with celestial navigation, they didn't even think the Earth was a globe. For example, the Mayans had built a pyramid, El Castillo, in the Yucatan Peninsula, and it was between the 9th and 12th century, and the structure can be used as a calendar and is noted for astronomical alignments. For 1,200 years, this pyramid's been lining up to the sky. Now, the pyramids in Egypt do that. Stonehenge, which was recently torn down, did that. I did the astroarchaeology myself and took the evidence myself. I went there, took a time lapse of Polaris through a hole that was drilled 40 years ago, and it's still there. Polaris means pole star. You don't get a pole star on a globe Earth tilted, wobbling, orbiting around the sun that's flying through the Milky Way galaxy at 1.3 million miles an hour. That's ludicrous. So hopefully you can demonstrate the three things I mentioned earlier. One of the problems you forgot in your opening is that mountains and objects change angular size as they get farther away from you. So when you stand on a really long hallway, the ceiling, which is above your head, will appear to drop down towards eye level. It's called perspective. I mean, we've been doing this for 8 years, and Globers still haven't figured out the perspective thing. How pathetic. I know my teammate needed a little extra time, so I'm going to cut it short. I'm not even going to go into my slides, not even going into my presentation. We see way too far. You can't demonstrate gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. Go look at the NASA bloopers. There's hundreds of videos of them with CGI, wires, green screen, harnesses, augmented reality, people ghosting in and out of screen. I mean, and you can test it yourself. This is the good news, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2023. We have high-power zoom cameras and telescopes that you don't have to point up at the sky. You could point them horizontally over large bodies of water. I've done this at Lake Michigan, Lake Pontchartrain, the Atlantic Sea, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, pardon me, all over Utah. I went to South Korea and did long-distance observations and spoke at a conference there. The Earth is not a globe, ladies. I don't want the Earth to be flat either. I would actually prefer if it was a globe. It'd just be one less thing the government, mind control organization, would be lying about, to be honest. And NASA wouldn't be stealing $60 million a day of your money.